to, and I was talking to a young lady who was just here picking up her daughter, I think, after, and we won't worry about it. It was, I'll let you know, it was a regular opening, and then it went in, it faded into, anybody watch X-Files?
Oh, yeah.
It faded into the poster with "I Want to Believe" and the music in the background, and then ding. And that was about it. Because instead of this stuff, I wanted this to be a little bit different. I wanted to talk more about, do you believe? Why do you believe? I've shared with you guys that I'm about 85% there. When I started doing this about 15, forever ago it seems like, really?
Yeah.
We were just talking about that with, well, Angel and I were talking about it last night, as a matter of fact, with Lisa's posting. We lost a member last night, unfortunately to cancer, but we were talking about class and how I got wrapped up in doing all this, and real short story is I had no interest in this at all. I went to a class that a local gentleman was running, and that's where I met Steve, who is a member of my team. And I was in an office, in the personnel office, talking to the personnel manager, and she's on the phone with a lady that we used to work with, and they're talking about going to this paranormal class, Ghost 101, $65 a person. And it's like, hey, that sounds cool. Angel watches Ghost Hunters. Maybe, I pick up my phone. Actually, it was a flip phone at that point. And called her and said, hey, $65. It's this Saturday. What do you think? Yeah, we went. The pump house down in Selinsboro. And it was a decent class. I met some really great people. Don't get too big of that. But all I know is about 4 years later, I ended up running the group that I had no interest in belonging to in the first place. But what I found... Are you
the founder?
No, I am not the founder. The founders of the original group was a man by the name of Kevin Tersavage.
Oh, I remember Kevin.
Okay.
You took over for Kevin then?
No.
No?
Kevin, I don't know if that organization, CPPRA, still exists or not.
Okay.
I really don't. Let's just say that the group in the coal region that I was part of and Kevin had a parting of the ways. We'll just leave it at that.
Right.
Just like the Beatles.
Yeah.
Anyway, we had a parting of the ways, and we formed our own group, Karen and Gary Savage, from, well, at that point, the Shamokin Mount Carmel area were running the group, and then they moved to North Carolina, and somehow I inherited the group.
Oh.
I'm not quite sure how that all happened. By the way, Angie called me and wants us to come back again.
Okay, great.
But I ended up doing it, and what I found during this was, this stuff is fascinating. It's got all these parts to it, furniture that moves by itself. Voices that you hear in recordings, and no, I'm not talking about backmasking like they used to do, Freddy is the devil, Freddy is the devil. No. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about real answers to questions, or is it? And I'm about 85% of the way there because I want to believe. I have a hard time understanding that all that we are, that soul, your thoughts, your feelings, your emotions, all those things that make up us disappear like that. Like my friend Steve. Does that mean, not that Steve. Does that mean it's all gone? That's pretty sad. Pretty much a waste if you think of it, and nature doesn't like a waste. So there must be something else. And that's why I do this, because I want to know what's next. I don't know if I'll ever find out, but I'm sure not going to give up trying.
And Houdini tried for a long time.
Well, Houdini spent time not only doing that, but debunking people that were faking it and making money for it.
And I believe in that too, yeah.
We got that problem now too in this field. We have people that make a whole lot of money off of this. I do some things that we charge money for. If you don't know, I own part of an event company. But you know what that money goes into? Equipment for my home team and for my travel and all of that. Because it fuels my passion to figure out what's next, because I want to believe. You guys come here for a reason. I know it's not my charming personality, but you come here for a reason. People watch those TV shows, whether it be Zach Bagans or Brant and Jay. You know, Johnny Zaffis. He's a neat guy too. But you know, we all do it for a reason.
And then,
I think
and I
it's because
watched it. Yeah.
you say
That
the
was in
same question I do.
1969.
I want to believe. But what do you believe? Come on in.
Sorry,
Yes.
we're late.
We're all late.
I remembered it this time.
Better late than never, I guess.
Better late than never.
Over here on the other side, too, plenty of seats for,
We're actually having a big conversation, and you're standing, so I'll ask you the question.
uh-oh, you're very upset.
What was that?
Do you believe?
Oh, yeah, I know.
What do you believe in?
UFOs.
Okay. That's part of that whole genre of things. Paranormal. I do the ghost thing because that's what I do. We're actually, again, the TV show thing, we're going to go to, I'm going to say it's up near Syracuse, New York. It's an area that has reporting of Bigfoot activity, UFOs, and spirits. We're going to film up there. Hopefully it's a better episode than the Jersey Devil one was. We didn't think that went through, by the way. But, you know, the thing is that you said you know. How do you know?
How do I know?
How do you know?
In 1969, I was working at, it was Heinz Cannery in the summer. It was August. It was like second Tuesday night of August. I could not park on Front Street in front of my house that night, so I had to park up on Vine Street. That's how I remember when it happened. His dad was only like a year old. Well, anyway, I left there. My job was done like at 3 in the morning. And I pulled out of the parking lot up to Route 11 and across the street, highway, where that gas station is there with the Good Hoagies. I thought I saw a light there because there was something I thought it was reflecting off of my passenger door window. And when I put the window down, the light was still there. And because I even turned off my dash lights thinking, what's this strange light reflecting and where's it, I never noticed before. And it was something, then it started moving towards me. And I pulled up on the highway and I headed towards Berwick, and this thing came over the highway above my car. No sound, did not reflect on my vehicle or the ground, nothing. There was, when it would circle around my car, it didn't shine a light on my car, nothing. It was just a big, remind me of a big frosted globe, but it was wider than wider, at least in diameter, than one lane of the highway. And if I go faster, it would go faster, it would circle around me. And then it went like up over the hill to my left. And I thought it was gone. And before I got up to where the viaduct used to be, it was still there then,
Ghost.
that went to Mifflinville.
Yes.
It came back down kind of several hundred feet ahead of me in the opposite lane of the highway. It came down to the ground, didn't it? Still. I stopped my car, I even turned my headlights off thinking I'm just reflecting on something, but no, it was there. And at that time, it wasn't built up along the highway like it is now. There was no other traffic that I encountered at all that night. And when I sat there and I'm thinking, well, I could go across the bridge, you know, go over to my mother-in-law and wake her up in the middle of the night, but what's she gonna do? And it's like we both sat there looking at each other. Then it lifted up and it went like up towards over the golf course. And I put my headlights back on. My car still kept running perfect all the time. Car didn't have any problems shutting off or anything. And I
You
headed
didn't
up.
see any other cars at the time?
There was nothing. In 1969, that was a very dead highway at 3 in the morning. And so I'm racing up the highway then, towards Briar Creek. And all of a sudden, there was, zoom, you know, and it would circle over me 1 or 2 times up through there, and then it went back up again, off to my left. And when I got up like around Bourbon Park area, I didn't see it anymore because it was over that way, out of sight of anything. And I drove on up through Berwick.
Weird.
I got up to Vine Street and I made a U-turn and I parked for that night because of the street sweeper. And I looked across the street and there it was. It was like in that parking lot behind that church that's there behind where Sub City is now. It stayed there. It was just above the treetop level. And there it was. And I sat in the car for a while and I thought, I can't stay in the car, so I got out of the car and I run down to my house and I go upstairs and I'm standing at the bedroom window. I stood there for the longest time just watching this light. And then I got really tired and I went to bed. In the morning I remember getting up, walking over that window and thinking, I had the damnedest dream last night. And I didn't say anything to anybody at work about it until like a week later. This group that lived in Shamokin, I think there was 3 girls and a guy, and they came into work that one afternoon, and they're all excited about this thing. It did the same thing to them. It followed them from work to Shamokin, and it got around the car and it come down and it did this and that, and as we go fast, it would go fast. And I'll tell you, the hair stood up in the back of my neck, and I just turned around, I looked at her, and I said, you mean that was real? It really happened? And they said, why? And I said, well, it happened to me. But I thought it was a dream. And they said, you didn't come in and tell anybody about it? You didn't warn anybody? I didn't think it was real. And then a girl was sitting across the table from me who lived up in Wapalapin. She sat there and she said, it happened to me 2 weeks before. It followed her up to Wapalapin. Her parents, the neighbors, they all came out and they stood up there for hours just watching this thing hover above them, this big sphere.
And you know, I believe exactly what you're telling me. I believe it with every being I have because I have no reason to doubt you. And that's why I say I want to believe, because like you, I have experiences that have happened on the ghost side, but I don't have any proof.
Yeah.
I have my own knowledge, my own eyes, my own experience, but I don't have any proof. And that's the biggest thing with, we'll call it the paranormal, whether it's Bigfoot, the Chupacabra, the Jersey Devil. I'm still working on that one. Ghosts, spirits, entities, demons, angels, God. It has to do with I want to believe. You want to believe that that was true because you saw it, you know in your being, but there's no proof of it.
There was sort of,
No, and like I said, I'm not doubting you one bit, please
Yeah.
don't understand that. Please understand that. But we all want to believe for a reason. For her, it was a personal experience, sir.
See, I get what you're saying. I can't speak for everybody in here, but I know for myself, when you hear people having these kind of discussions, and then you go to some other people, the non-believers, that say, death is just nothing. You know, when the lights are out, you're just gone. You don't exist anymore.
They might be right.
Well, and I honestly, that is, I believe, what I fear. I don't want the death to be nothing.
And
You know, I fear that. I actually want to prove that my body, my soul, my feelings goes somewhere else, hopefully better. You have the ones that say, I'm atheist, I don't believe in God, I believe when the lights are out, they're out. I hope that's not true.
But you
And
know
we
what?
want to prove it. I want to prove that.
They're saying the same thing you
We're
are.
talking about afterlife.
Yeah, afterlife. I want to prove there is an afterlife. I'd
You're-
rather hope there's something better.
You're saying the same thing they are.
Yes.
I want to believe. It's all about belief. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, you're going up to New York, right?
Yes.
Okay, what part of New York?
Syracuse area this time.
Okay.
We were in Buffalo.
When I was 18, 19, I lived in Buffalo. It wasn't a UFO that I saw, but I was over at my friend Sandy's house,
Mhm.
and this is like something different, per se, than the UFO thing. They had a flap going on, and it was in the papers about finding UFOs over power lines. They hit the power lines.
Mhm.
And when I was at Sandy's one day, her one other friend that she knew was in panic, and she says, I'm not going down there by myself, you're going with me. And we went down to her house, and she was in sheer panic, shock. And she had like an in-ground pool. Well, she had like a very expensive home, and it has like all the sliding glass doors that you can see out the back.
I'm listening.
Okay. And she said that when she was in the house, she came downstairs, and all of a sudden, her whole backyard was lit up. Her backyard doesn't light up like that. You know, the whole thing was lit up, completely a bright light. She didn't know what it was. But then it was like somebody turned the switch, it was on, and then it was there for a while, and then it went off. So she cautiously went out in the backyard. And every drop of water was going out of her pool. Every single drop. We saw it. And it was like dry, like you empty a pool, it's kind of wet. Every drop was gone. They had it checked out, it was in the papers.
And I understand it's in the papers, but incontrovertible proof.
Yeah, but
That
it was
there
odd
was-
that all the water went. There was no leakages, they had it all checked out.
I can have people, there are people, I'll go back to my ghosts because I know better about ghosts. It's kind of like anything, like a computer. If it doesn't know what it's doing, it goes back home. It goes back to what it knows. I know ghosts. I can show you pictures after pictures of pictures where people took pictures of down a hallway and there was nothing there, and then took another picture. I've shown you some at Rolling Hills Asylum. I have two pictures side by side, one with an infrared camera, one with a full spectrum. Infrared has nothing, the spectrum shows somebody being pushed down a wheelchair. Is that proof?
is that interdimensional?
Is
Or
it
is
proof?
that,
It's not proof because they claim people can fix pictures and stuff. So I think
Exactly.
maybe you fixed it, they'll say.
Exactly.
And you always have the non-believer.
That's the problem. I want to believe. You want to believe. You want to believe. I'm taking everybody wants to believe something. Whether it's your friend who believes that people are dead, they're dead, that's it, they're buried, it's over. That's what they want to believe. Can they prove that?
Yeah, they can't prove their side either,
Nobody's come back to tell us yet. Jesus.
my daughter
Lazarus.
has been clinically dead
I'm
a
sorry.
few times. My daughter has been clinically dead a few times. Before
sorry for that.
her heart restarted.
Right.
And her sister-in-law was asking her one day, well, what did you see? you know, what was it like? And she said, just nothing, it's just black. And that's how her experiences were every time.
Exactly. And others will tell you they see a light, they see, you know, they hear music, they whatever. Are they telling stories? Are they? No, I don't believe that. It's about back to, I want to believe. Can I prove there's ghosts? No. Can I prove there's UFOs? Yes, I can. You want to know how? Did you ever look up in the sky and see something flying by and you didn't know what it was? That's a UFO. Is there alien life? I believe there is. I want to believe it.
I believe that's where we came from.
But I've never,
Nobody has.
I think I've told you guys before, the only time I'll believe 100% there's a ghost is when somebody walks up and says, "Hi." Yes, sir.
I think when you pass away, you see what you want to see. Like, if you're religious, you see God, you see heaven. If you're not religious, then you don't see nothing, you think. But there's something out there that lets you pass over. Maybe a gateway, maybe someone that helps you cross over to something else. Whatever it is, maybe some people do make stuff up, maybe they don't, maybe they do see something they just can't explain. But it's all possibly in our head or possibly real. We don't know for sure.
But it's what
You believe in.
you want to believe.
I'm sorry, I just read.
But that's the whole theme of the, like I said tonight, I want to believe. You're right.
Well, all believing is faith. Because that's what you basically go on, that's what keeps you moving forward. And what you do is your faith in knowing that there may be something to this.
That's, yes, that's, like I said.
Or you wouldn't do what you do without faith in yourself.
But,
So isn't belief actually a form of faith?
yes, yes.
Bible's just faith.
Like I said, I never
Just like the
had,
faith of the Bible.
you talk to a lot of my associates, a lot of my friends that I work with in the field, and they've all had that experience.
But you usually see a faith is something it's not stationary. There's beliefs where you have a belief in something, and that belief is stationary within yourselves. But to explore or trying to wonder whether you go beyond that takes the faith of a person in order to come forward, in order to say, well, is there an afterlife? So actually you're going on the basis of more of faith than belief, because that's what drives everybody to, you know, is there God or is there not a God? Is there a life after life? So, you know, faith and beliefs are almost, you know, twins, in my opinion.
I agree. Let's go to something. Anybody here have a haunted house? No
I hope
haunted
not.
houses?
Into
Really?
Used to, I grew up in one.
Okay. I know.
I had a closet in my bedroom that was dressed up like a little kid's room. And if I would shut the door, I'd hear footsteps in the room. But if I left the door open to crack, there'd be nothing. So I would always leave the door open. Years later, it came to find out that a young girl had died in the home from being mistreated. And the people that used to live there had the kids taken away from them. So, do I know for sure that it's this young girl? No. But I
But
think
you,
I reasoned, I heard
you
things.
what? What do you do?
Oh, I started trying to look at it logically, like what was cause
how-
and effect.
I believe.
You want
I
to
believe.
You would
Well,
have to
I had-
believe in
I had
order for
things
it to
happen
be
in my
this,
house that I
who
don't
you
know
think
is haunted,
it
but I
is.
mean, I've had a lot of things happen.
Or if you didn't have the belief in it, you would
Yeah.
never think of the person who it may be.
I was sleeping in bed on a Saturday morning. An old-
Yeah, there's something.
You know, an old man lived in my house, and before
Okay.
that, he had lived in the house with his mother. They liked it very quiet because he was just a loner in the whole neighborhood. I grew up in that neighborhood. And I was sleeping in bed, and a granddaughter and my son was downstairs making a lot of noise on a Saturday morning, causing a lot of ruckus. This man did not like ruckus. Well, the whole corner of my bed lifted up and slammed down, with me in it. And mind you, I thought for a split second, oh my gosh, what was that? And I see these spook movies, Exorcist and everything, and I kid you not, my corner of my bed came off the ground that far.
You told me that a long time
Well,
ago.
when the kids quieted down, that stopped. And the granddaughter, one of the granddaughters was sitting in bed and was looking into a mirror, and she said the jeans that were on her bed stood straight up and then fell back down. I don't know if the house itself is haunted. You know, you can get activity without being actually haunted. So what, do I believe? Well, sure, I hope I believe in something. I don't know.
And I say this not from a skeptic standpoint, because obviously I go in, well, we used to go in as a team and try to debunk everything somebody claimed. Until somebody, pretty well-known skeptic, Kenny, his name is Kenny Biddle, and I am KennyBiddle.com, and he tears everything apart. He brought something to me and he said, Rich, if you're going in to debunk everything, you're going to do it. Because you're going in from a negative. You've already made a decision before you walk in that house what the determination is. Instead, go in, collect evidence, come out, and analyze the evidence for what it is. Well, two things happen. We've been doing a lot better with our collection of evidence, some of the banging, or the water in the sink in the upstairs apartment that was going on because there weren't any stops on the valves. So that when the pressure changed, it would blow right through and start filling cups by itself. Because we started looking at evidence for evidence sake. Does that mean the other people were lying to us? No, but they were misinterpreting the evidence by what they wanted to believe. They wouldn't believe that it was the air in their pipes that are 90 years old, and that was what was causing, it goes back to I want to believe. If people want to believe their house is haunted, it doesn't matter what we go in and find or don't find, And just because, again, I'll go from my paranormal team leader role weight. Okay. There. Just because we go into a home and do an investigation tonight and don't find any evidence at all does not mean that the house does not have a spirit, an entity, a haunting, whatever. It means that at that particular time and place, there was nothing presenting itself that would lead us to that determination. Yes, I've written that a couple of times. But it's the same with UFOs. You know what? If I sat there and I saw something flying over, dish, cigar shape, whatever, and I had no idea with it, after I got my wits about me, I'd probably change my pants. And, would I take pictures? Probably wouldn't even think of it, even though I got a camera right here anymore. Are you going to think about it at that time? Or I can't tell you what I'm going to do if I ever walk into a ghost. I have a fair amount of experience. I've been to some pretty haunted places or reported haunted places. But I can't tell you to this day that I wouldn't do what happened on Dude, Run, and head down the hallway. Even though we talk all the time about, I'll take pictures and I'll get my EVP and I'll ask the questions and
Then run away scared.
Well, the actual encounters aren't nice most times. I've had them.
But it's
They're
the same,
not good.
whether it's UFOs. Bigfoot, we went Bigfoot hunting. We had no idea what we were doing. I mean, zero idea. We hooked up with a local team, Eric Altman, who is a nationally known Bigfoot investigator, I guess they call it. You've met the guys that are friends of mine that come and see us.
See the gentleman who was here last time? Was he?
No, Eric has never been here.
This is-
Eric is from Fayette County, and that's kind of far for him. No, Bob Bucco and
Oh, that's
Jason.
right, that's right.
Do I believe 100% in Bigfoot? My jury's out. I mean, I've gone Bigfoot hunting, we've knocked down the trees, do you know what kind of sounds they make to try and, do they know for sure that that's Bigfoot that's calling back to them? No. When we do an EVP and there's something that appears to be a voice on that recorder, do we know for sure that it's a spirit? Or we walk up with our EMF meter and it starts going absolutely nuts. Do we know that that's a ghost?
No.
We don't even know if ghosts really affect an EMF meter.
Could just be positive energy. I know
Could
that.
be anything.
Electricity.
But we use these means because we want to believe. We want to believe that there's a way to find ghosts. We want to believe that there's a way to identify Bigfoot. We want to believe that there are alien beings from other worlds. Again, I think it's pretty naive of us to believe that we're here alone in this vast universe and there's nothing in the Bible that says that we're it.
Cavemen used to draw pictures of people on a wall
Yes.
with helmets on their heads.
Exactly.
You know, so,
What were they
what were
drawing?
the angels cast down?
Unfortunately,
Aliens, you know, who
yeah.
knows?
Unfortunately, these are all good questions. They are all things that fuel, they're all good questions. They all fuel the belief
Yeah, believe.
that there's life after death, that there's alien life, there's UFOs that are from another world. I'll clarify that Bigfoot, Yeti, Sasquatch, the Loch Ness Monster, all have some foundation of reality into them.
Well, you remember when NASA had their Voyager, where they sent Voyager off into the universe to go,
Mhm.
and they put on the gold record
Yeah.
that was on there? I remember when NASA gave the press conference to the national and international press, they said if Voyager traveled out of our universe and went somewhere else, and they would ever get a message received, especially back to Earth, what do you think the message would be? And the head of NASA said, oh, we already calculated what they would probably say, and they'd say, because they had all the sounds of Earth on these records, they say, send more Chuck Berry.
Yeah.
But it's all based on what we want, what we believe. I want to believe. Can we prove any of these things? No, we can't. But you guys come here every month because you're interested in what you believe. Do we all believe ghosts are the same things? I don't know.
Yeah,
I think we've all
everything.
been,
It's just like people say, why don't we ever find any skeletons of Bigfoot or anything? I said, well, you know what, I've been in the woods for 40 years and I have never found a bear skeleton, never.
you know what?
You
That's
know,
a perfect
I don't find
answer.
any of that stuff.
And it's a perfect question too. Why don't you find a carcass? Why don't you find this? Why don't you
I
find
never
that?
found a bear carcass. I've never found it. Actually, the only deer carcasses I've come across, the ones that hit by cars, I don't find them in the woods. I don't find raccoon skeletons. If I do, it's very rare. I mean, so I don't find any of them either.
But
Coyotes and the foxes
No,
take the bones
yeah.
and everything.
But I don't find them either. You don't find carcasses of fox.
What's
I
that?
have a Bigfoot in my yard.
Okay.
There you go. I mean, because, you
I have
know,
pictures.
His feet aren't that big.
but I mean, there could be there just like anything else. I don't find skeletons of anything else, so I'd rather believe there is than isn't.
So, well, wait a minute, what was that word? What was that word?
Believe. That's what I'm saying. I'd rather believe there is than isn't. It's gotta be there.
That's my point, and been the point all night long, is it's about beliefs. I hate some sensitives. Can I prove that Kelly Miller, who comes here, is real? That she sees some things? Is she just guessing? Is she asking the right questions to get the right answer? Well, I'll tell you, she is. She's a damn good guesser.
Well, I just wanted to say quick while in front of everybody, because I forget, very interesting, if everybody likes the stories, look up the Dalai Lama. The Dalai Lama highly believed in reincarnation. They don't believe in life after death, they just believe that you just take over another born baby. Immediately, the second you pass on, you transfer into a newborn. But, now I guess I'd have to say, instead of a believer, I'm a debunker, because the Dalai Lama actually wrote all this down with his age and everything, traveled all around, went to where he supposedly said he was going to die, the day, the exact minute, and actually sat in a chair and passed away staring out the window to where a baby was born, and he believed he took over that body. Now, how many years would you have to wait to walk up to that baby and say, are you the Dalai Lama? Now, they're claiming the older you get, you forget that maybe you were somebody before, and you don't remember, because they have interviewed 5, 6, and up to 9-year-old children that claimed they were somebody else. And they said as they grew older, they actually forgot. But we can't prove that either now, because
There are several religions that believe that you go into another life and you climb through it. It's until you live, not the perfect life, but a good life, the best life you can, that you would ascend beyond.
Right.
But, I'm probably a flea or something.
you can't prove it. Yeah, you can't.
What about
But-
walk-ins?
I'm sorry,
What about walk-ins?
help me.
In the 80s.
Well, I didn't even exist in the 80s.
But everything that we've all been talking, and this, by the way, is what I wanted. We talked about this, we were alone last month, but I wanted to start a big, because nobody else came on Martin Luther King Day. Nobody, just us. We were here. But this is what I wanted to do, because you know what? All the other stuff that we do, all the photo analysis, all of the EVPs, all of the Bigfoot guys, or the UFO, I love that roundtable. We're gonna do that sometime again this year. Because that was one of those other things I wanted to do, and it went really well. But the group of you all have experiences. All have reasons that you believe in the things you believe. All have reasons why you come here or watch the TV shows, whether it's entertainment, whether it's more curiosity, whether it's wanting to know what's next. Yes, ma'am.
I have a playful entity in my house. He likes to play with the glasses in my china closet.
You know, I say this joking with most of the clients that we go to see. When I pass away, they ask, have you ever done a cemetery? Done 2. I did the one across the street when I did the kids, the teen paranormal group one year, and we filmed in the Hanover Green Cemetery in Wilkes-Barre, which was off the wall. But if you're a ghost and you can go anywhere in time, place, dimension that you want to go, are you going to hang around a cemetery? Seems like if you're kind of dead there, you're supposed to laugh. I'm going to pull up a sign of applause. But if I could go anywhere, I got a list. I got a list of people I want to visit.
Yeah, we do.
Sure. You can go they say you can go anywhere you want. Why would you
Oh, I'll
hang
go
out?
to Australia.
No, there's people that laughed at myself and my team because of what we do. We all have those people, yes?
Mm-hmm.
They're the first ones I want to visit. Say, yo,
Yeah.
let's talk on my terms.
Yeah, if you want to prove you're a ghost to anybody, you want to prove it to the one you want to get even with.
Like I said, when I got into this 10 plus years ago, I got into this to make my wife happy. Happy wife, happy life, right?
Now you're never home and she's not happy.
I don't, well, let's see. I'm good for another 2 weeks and then all hell breaks loose with the schedule. But the point is it's turned into a passion now where I want to know. I want to know because I believe now. Before it was like, yeah, ghost. Ha! Dude, run! Right? Scooby-Doo.
Yeah.
By the way, Scooby's my hero. Scooby is the investigator.
Yeah, Shaggy too.
Yeah, Shaggy the pothead.
No, that's SpongeBob. But now I'm to the point where I believe. I believe because there's got to be something next. I truly believe this can't be it. That I'm going to disappear.
Can't believe that
I
either.
can't believe that. We've gone to, whether it's been my team, Coal Region, we've had too many experiences. And I'll talk about them rather than go into the haunted places we know it's haunted. We've talked to too many people that have had too many experiences. We've been to too many homes where we've helped people because they had spirits who weren't so friendly. We've helped them draw lines. We've been to too many places where we've had experiences and then found out that we can relate. There's a house in Ellisburg in a newer development. You know, we talk about old homes in a newer development. We walked in, a guy had died in the house and he was a heavy smoker. They redid the entire house. We walked in, it seemed fine. We got halfway through the night. Were you with us in that one?
Not on that one, no.
We did that one twice. But we got in, and in the middle of the night, as we're trying to stimulate activity, all we can smell is cigarette smoke. And I don't mean stale cigarette smoke, and I mean cigarette smoke.
Fresh, yeah.
It was the next night, as we were going through, that they showed us clippings of the man who used to own the house. He was a heavy smoker. We heard music. So badly that we started checking the walls to see if they had speakers in the walls. But the music was 50s, 60s, not current. And it was a radio station, but there was no radios on. We even pulled the main on the electric so that there was nothing. We were still getting music. Can I prove? I have recordings, but I can't prove because there's not a camera showing that there's nothing. And even if there was a camera showing there's nothing, how do you know that there's really nothing? But I can tell you that those experiences happen. I can tell you that we have been the Packwood Museum over and over and over and over again. We had a psychic that went through with us, Kevin, or not Kevin, Keith,
Oh, yeah.
and described a room that was a bar room in this Packwood Museum. It's on the edge before you go over the bridge. It's on the left-hand side. Only to have somebody bring out a picture of a drawing. It was actually a drawing of what the original bar looked like when that was on the canal. And it was to a T what was described. It was a curator of the museum, and he hadn't even gone through all of the papers from it yet. He had just found that. Coincidence? I don't believe in coincidence. What I do believe is in things that, if I can't explain it by normal means, it must be paranormal. If I see something flying in the sky,
I look for it all the time. I can't drive down that highway without it crossing my mind yet.
because it impacted you that much.
But I wasn't afraid.
No.
But afterwards, I'm like, why didn't I call the police? Why didn't I call someone? Or I tried to wake my husband up at the time and have him get up and look out, and he just pretended he was asleep. He would not get out of bed and look out that window. And then someone told me later, he wasn't supposed to see it.
Well, because you believed, though, so you didn't call the police, you believed it was something paranormal or alien.
I didn't know what the hell it was.
Well,
All I knew was this
If
big
you were
round
scared,
light.
if you thought something was gonna hurt you, you'd call the police, but you believed.
You know, most times when things like that do happen, it's basically a personal level.
Yeah, you believed.
It's yourself and you alone I mean, you could have people with you who could be witness to what it is with you, but each person who's even in the room it's their own individual personal experience.
But then there's other people.
And you'll find out that most
Go ahead,
people who have
Steve.
experiences, it always turns out to be a personal experience on my
You
account.
by yourself.
I would agree with that, with the exception of one place that I investigated with
Oh,
a
there's
group of
always.
different people, Penhurst Asylum.
Yeah.
Usually the experiences there were group experiences.
Yeah, that's because
Penhurst
there's many
Asylum,
entities.
it's got to be one of the nastiest places I've ever.
That's because there's many entities in there. You're saying it was a whole asylum?
Penhurst?
Yeah, like a whole.
Penhurst is responsible for the laws that protect children now. Because that facility
Wow.
I'm hitting hard on Pennhurst. Pennhurst wasn't the only one. It was the standard by which care for our indigent, our
It was another one.
dregs of society, so to speak, those that were the undesirables to be in society. These are the kind of asylums they put them in. Pennhurst was the largest in Pennsylvania, and it got targeted out by NBC in the 70s. Actually, I think it started in the 60s and it reached into the 70s.
That was a
But it's-
CBS program called something like Asylum of Shame, they called it.
Yeah.
That's probably the newer one. It was Suffer the Children. You can still find a YouTube video. It was
Is
an
that what it
NBC
was?
report.
Suffered the children.
I
Suffer
know there
the
was
Children.
two of them.
Well, Suffer the Children is the one that NBC put on back in that period of time to disclose. There was another one in New York at the same time that was in the middle of that. But that place was so overwhelming, I don't know anyone that hasn't been there with a group that's had.
But I know the one
those
was
experiences.
Pennhurst.
Pennhurst.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there's been a newer one lately because it was like the 25th anniversary or something of, but that went on and on and on. In fact, it's a big deal now because it was,
Well, they say.
my wife was here, she'd say, don't do that.
Well, you're saying an asylum, and they say that schizophrenic people draw a lot of negative, that's why, it's a lot of negative
I
energy.
don't,
And you're saying it's a
I was just saying that that's one place I've been where we've had mass experiences, where people have had the same experiences in the same areas, even though they weren't together at the time.
Right, that's massive.
We actually did a thing where we had people go into the Quaker building, which was the worst of the buildings, and come out and record their experience. And we had 5 different groups of people, and 4 out of the 5 had the same experiences. Yes, ma'am.
Did you ever hear of the Byberry Institution?
I'm sorry?
Byberry? in
No, I
Philadelphia?
Yes, I'm familiar with it, but not knowledgeable about it. How does that sound?
It's a psychiatric hospital.
Yes, like I said, I know that much,
They
but I
still
don't
have ghosts
know.
in their tunnels.
Ooh.
People are still singing them.
Pennhurst tunnels were nasty.
Wow.
I'm not sure which was nastier, the people that were breaking in and running through the tunnels or the real ghosts. But yeah,
Yeah, a lot of it's.
if you think of all the tragedy and all the negative that happened in those places, if you believe that entities or spirits exist after, I mean, they probably, for some, especially the children, there were cases in Pennhurst where people were born and died without ever getting out of their crib. And I mean, maybe 30 years, 30 years old, and they couldn't walk because they were never taken out of the crib. Because there wasn't enough staff to take care of it. Not because the staff were all negligent. I don't want to, the staff to all of that. There were some cruel people there that worked there, but a lot of it was just because first it got too big for the state to manage, then they turned it over to a private agency, and the private agency was more interested in profit. So even though it was already the largest in buildings, they just kept adding buildings to this. They kept adding patients even though they didn't have the room to put the patients in. They walked into the one building, the Mayflower building, and you couldn't walk down the hallway because people were actually laying in the hallways on mattresses on the floor.
Where's that at?
Pennhurst, Spring City, Pennsylvania, John, between Chester and Westchester.
Really?
Yes. Pennhurst Asylum. Pennhurst State School was the actual title of it.
Well, a lot of that would come back as to saying it's because of residual haunting. It's stuff that happened in there over and over and over.
There's a lot of active.
Yeah, I mean, it's just what they did over and over and over.
Yeah, but there's a lot of active there.
Oh, yeah, that's what I'm saying.
But
Residual.
anyway, I don't mean to focus, long story short, they're going to take Pennhurst down and build an industrial park on it now.
Well, that doesn't mean that those spirits are gonna go away.
No.
No, and that's, because of the history there, the gentleman that purchased it, it was Tim Smith and his father owned the property. They sold it to this development company because the father is getting aged and Tim is a school teacher by trade anyway. They sold it to this development company. The development company wanted to build condominiums, but they decided that that wouldn't be a very easy thing to sell, condominiums on the site of a history like that. So they decided they're going to build a huge industrial park. And my prediction is, because of knowing something about the company that bought it, you're probably going to find a racetrack on it, a horse track.
Yeah.
Because there's nothing down there like that. It's a good area for it. It's right on the cusp of the Philadelphia market. I can see that.
They did that with the library hospital too.
Similar
They sold
things.
it.
It's
Yeah.
a huge piece of
And
property.
that's
Yes.
part now.
But where I was going before I got sidetracked by my own doing, it doesn't matter what you believe. It doesn't matter if you can prove it without, I can't prove there's ghosts. I can't prove there's not ghosts. I can't prove there's demons. I can't prove there's not demons. I can't prove all those creatures that the mountain men catch, they really catch. I can't prove that there's UFOs or there's alien life. I can't prove Bigfoot. I know that I can't prove the Jersey Devil. You laugh, but we can't even prove that there's a 13th child, if you know the legend.
But they're all over the United States in different areas, the same thing almost. The flying things like,
I can't prove the Mothman.
I know.
I can't prove any of
I mean,
that.
there's so many of them.
They say that the
Texas
Mothman
has
is
it.
the harbinger of death and destruction. I can't prove any of that. But what I can say is, I believe. What you believe is up to you. I'm going to keep working to prove what I believe.
Well, I hope we can prove it, right?
I'm going to keep working to prove what I believe, because
Yeah.
if I don't believe in it enough to prove it, then I don't really believe, do I? I want to thank everybody for coming tonight. I hope I didn't bore you. This is a little bit different than we usually do, but I thought it was important.
Yeah,
Take a
called,
step
do
back.
you believe?
Yeah, I can't believe.
Just take a step back and look at what do we believe. Thanks.
Thank you.
You want to check